conditional comparisons and how they relate to subqueries. So here we have a subquery being tested against another as equality, inequality, greater than, greater than or equals, less than or equals. You can compare two subqueries with any of these types of comparisons. You can also use a like operator, which allows a pattern match between the expression results of two subqueries. You can ask if subquery has elements contained in another, or conversely not in another, implying the subquery on the right is a set of more than one or more items. You can also look at between to test the expressive values of two subqueries being between two different subqueries, and the test on the left is a subquery as well. It's kind of complicated, but that's what it is. Between is actually the equivalent of something greater than one value and less than a bigger value. Or actually, to be more specific, it's inclusive, so it's greater than or equal to and less than or equal to a smaller value and a larger value on the right. There are some specialized set operators called any, some and all, which we have actually looked at all these operators in the previous VTC course, but now we're simply looking at them in relation to subqueries. So a subquery can be tested on the left and right using any, some and all as any of the basic operators against two subqueries on either side. Sometimes Oracle practitioners like to call equal, not equals, greater than, less than, and so on and so forth, equi and range comparisons. In this case, we have a subquery on the left, which is the same thing as a select statement. It is a subquery and an expression. We have a subquery on the left and a subquery on the right, or a select statement left and right of the where clause check. In this case, we're saying note how the category table is not part of the join, meaning it says semi-join, where the join is actually contained within the subquery connection between the calling query and the subquery. A like comparison is much the same, where we're trying to compare between two subqueries based on a pattern. And here we have an in-set inclusion, which allows you to test if something is or is not part of a set of one or more values. There is no join again. And obviously we can use subquery with a list of values with an in clause, and we can also have an in-set inclusion, but using exists as opposed to in, and using correlation. Obviously we can use correlation within. Exists is a little bit out of date with Oracle, but it still exists because a lot of software still uses it. So it can't be removed completely, but it's not part of an ANSI standard SQL format. So it's gradually being ignored, if you like, by Oracle, as opposed to deprecated and removed from Oracle SQL altogether. And here's an example of between, where we simply see that we have a query on the left, the calling query, and a subquery between something and a subquery between something else, between min and max. Simple as that, not complicated. And then there's any, some and all comparisons, which allow you to check two sets of information against any of a set, some of a set, and all of a set. It is basically as it says it is.